We are hearing Bhagavad Gita. Yesterday I read explanation to verse 27. I will read it again. The self that is inclined towards sense objects is called Parak Atman, and the self that is indifferent to sense object is called Pratyak Atman. The followers of Patanjali hold that with the exception of only Pratyak Atman, there is no such thing as mind. You remember yesterday I was not sure what is meant, so I gave some explanation. Today I checked in another version. It is from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. This. So it means that those who are followers of Patanjali, they think only Pratyak Atman exists. There is no such thing as mind. That is illusion. When they do that yoga practice and like this, and when they realize this Pratyak Atman, which is indifferent, then that mind ceases to exist, and senses and everything, that like disappears. They think like that. So that is from the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And also yesterday already I read this translation to verse 35. O Pandava, enlightened with the transcendental knowledge, you will not yield again to such infatuation. Endowed with such knowledge, you will realize that all beings exist in your own self as well as in me. When one is enlightened, then one is not bewildered anymore, infatuated. Like Arjuna was, should I fight or not? I think better not. This thing does not exist anymore. Explanation. O Pandava, you are now ready to give up your ordained duty of fighting as a result of the delusion caused by my Maya. You will surely rise beyond this Mayic infatuation as soon as you are enlightened by your preceptors in the transcendental knowledge regarding yourself and me. You will then realize that all beings are essentially spiritual entities, now enveloped with different material forms, attributes and actions in this mundane world, due to their forgetfulness of their real self, of the Godhead, and abuse of their free will. Their external forms, qualities and actions are the outcome of their material appearances or mundane egoism. They all exist in me, the prime cause of all causes, though working under the influence of my Mayic potency. Here it is not that thing. They are all in him, the prime cause of all causes, but it is not. You will realize that all beings exist in your own self. All are related to him. That is, but that only Uttamadhikaris, they are able to understand this, what this means. This is one kind of vision. All are related, so in that sense they are all within you. And they are in Krishna. We are all in Krishna, and Krishna is in us, and everything is connected, everything is related. Gurudev wrote about this in some letter, But practically what it means, we cannot understand only by understanding the language and try to imagine. No, that is a realization and then you can understand. But the point is, you can be enlightened by transcendental knowledge and then you are out of illusion. But at that time you will also realize, like Vyasadeva realized, by the grace of Narad, he saw in his samadhi, he saw Jiva and how she is bewildered. That also you will see with this envelope by different material forms, attributes and like this. We have gross ego and subtle ego, and also desires related to gross and subtle ego. So as long as we try to, means as long as we misidentify with these two, there will inevitably be also desires from these egos, and we will try to fulfill that. Even when we become attracted to devotion of Krishna, in the beginning we think, if I will do service of Krishna, then all these desires will be fulfilled, of gross and subtle body. We are trying to use this for fulfillment of these two desires or needs or like this, because we are in misconception of self. So as long as this exists, it is anartha. It is not actually for the satisfaction of Krishna pure devotion. So one has to realize that real self. And real self's desire is to serve Krishna. Then that will be pure devotion. But there are anarthas also in the beginning. And as long as there are anarthas or separate interests, there will inevitably be troubles, inevitably be quarrels with others. Inevitably, it will go on. The anartha is the problem. Other desires, other than the service of Krishna. Any related to subtle body also. We are not able to detect even sometimes certain desires. And we may cooperate with some other conditioned souls for fulfillment of those desires. But after some time, there will be clash. So nothing is permanent here. And all the time, sometimes separated, sometimes united, and for these anarthas. But when one arises above this and realizes real self, and these all other desires are removed, then there is no more problem. The problem is not outside. Problem is with me. Till I have some other desires other than the service of Krishna, till that time, inevitably there will be troubles, suffering and infatuation, everything. Api chet asi papebhyo sarvebhyo papakritamaha sarvangyana plavenaiva vrijinam santarishyasi. Even in case you become the worst of sinners, in brackets, by killing your friends and relatives in this battle, you will cross over this ocean of sin and sorrow with the help of the boat of transcendental knowledge only. Yathaidamsi samidognir bhasmasat kuruterjuna Gyanagni sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute tatha. Tatha. Not tatha. Tatha. Just as a blazing fire burns all fuel to ashes, so also this fire of transcendental knowledge, O Arjuna, burns up all fruits, good or bad, accruing from karma. We heard those examples, how they had certain karma already in horoscope and on hand and everywhere. But by surrendering to Krishna via bona fide guru, following bona fide guru, then all that was also removed. So one can change his karma, one can destroy his karma by devotion, even prarabdha karma, everything he can destroy. Nahi gyanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate tatsvayam yoga samsiddha kalenatmani vindati. In this world, there is nothing so pure as transcendental knowledge. He who has attained success in karma yoga realizes that knowledge in due course, in his own real self. Explanation: there is nothing in this world so pure as transcendental knowledge. In due course, you will attain that knowledge as the result of your Nishkama Karma Yoga. By this is meant that the eternal bliss is the end of transcendental knowledge. Nothing is holier than knowledge does not mean that nothing is superior to knowledge. For unalloyed love with confidential loving service to me, the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, is the highest end of human life. Here, jnana can mean that impersonal jnana. One will rise above material, all these attachments and everything. Another meaning can be that jnana, to see Supreme Lord. With this jnana, he is Supreme Lord, cause of all causes, maintainer, creator, destroyer of innumerable universes, owner of everything, enjoyer, like this. Gyan with Aishwarja means oven, means all opulence and all this of Supreme Lord. And from such knowledge comes this mood of oven reverence. You worship him in the oven reverence. That may also be called Gyan. But superior to them both is this unalloyed love with confidential loving service to me. That is in Vrindavan, to Krishna. There they have no knowledge that Krishna is Supreme Lord. He is their beloved son, friend, like this, intimate, delightful relation. So that knowledge is not present. So that is supreme. And that is highest end. Shraddhava labhate jnanam tatparah samyatendriyaha jnanam labdva param shantim achirena dhighachati. He who possesses firm faith in me and steadfast attachment for the principle of Nishkama Karma Yoga and has subdued his senses so that they do not lead him astray, attains transcendental knowledge. He who lacks such confidence in Nishkama Karma Yoga is deprived of that knowledge. Performance of Nishkama Karma Yoga enables one to get endowed with eternal bliss in the transcendental realm. Agyascha shraddha Sankshayatma vinashyati Nayam lokosti na paro na sukham sanshayatmanaha. He who is ignorant has no faith in Nishkama Karma Yoga and is always torn by doubt and indecision, is therefore doomed to destruction. Such a skeptic attains neither happiness nor peace, either in this world or in the next. Because skepticism is the canker of his heart and is eating into his very vitals. Canker. 1 second. If I pronounced correctly. C-A-N-K-E-R. No, it is not even in this. One second. Canker of his heart. A destructive fungal disease of apple and other trees that results in damage to the bark, or an ulcerous condition or disease of a human or animal, like some ulcer. That is canker. So that will be eating his very vitals, these doubts, because Vedas, they're coming from Supreme Lord, and He's all good. So, if we follow His instructions, then that will be for our auspiciousness, for our eternal welfare. But if someone doubts Vedas, then he will be engaged in these other things, so he can never attain peace or happiness. The Buddhists also, they don't believe in Vedas, but they believe in that Buddha and those principles. So those principles are like some level of following Vedas also. They're Upadharma, not full Dharma, but Upadharma, like non-violence, compassion to others, like this. So that is something better than being totally immoral atheist. That is better. But better than that is to follow Vedic principles purely. Because when they were not following properly Vedic principles, for that reason Buddha avatar had to come to help them, because they went astray. And then Shankaracharya again brought them to Vedas, but not full proper following. That Ramanuja and other Vaishnavacharyas, they gave proper following of the Vedas, means devotion to, eternal devotion to Supreme Lord. Yoga sanyasta karmanam jnana sanchina sankshayam atmavantam na karmani nibadnanti dhananjaya. O Dhananjaya, Arjuna, actions do not at all bind him who has consecrated all his actions with their results to me the Supreme Lord, has destroyed his skepticism with the sharp sword of transcendental knowledge and is well versed in the real knowledge of his own self and me, the Godhead. So, this is the explanation. So, O Dhananjaya, conqueror of immense wealth, by killing the vast enemies, now conquer the wealth of pure intelligence by controlling your mind and senses. So Dhananjaya means, that literal meaning, conqueror of immense wealth by killing the vast enemies. Like king, Kshatriyas, they have this. But here another spiritual meaning of this name is also given. Now conquer the wealth of pure intelligence by controlling your mind and senses. That Alexander the Great was a big fighter king. From Europe, here, little south from here, he started Macedonia, and he was conquering everywhere. And he, Persia, everything he conquered. And then he came to India, and there he met Kalyan Baba, who was a yogi. So that yogi asked, who are you? Then he said, I am Alexander the Great. I conquered so many, all these areas. I conquered everything. Then Kalyan Baba, he smiled. What you have conquered? You did not conquer your mind. So what is the use of that thing? Unless one conquers his mind, he cannot have actual peace and happiness. He will always be disturbed. How much he wants to attain any worldly possession or enjoyment like this, like Hiranyakashipu. Alexander the Great, only he conquered some part of this world. But Hiranyakashipu conquered 3 worlds, but still he was not happy. No one can be happy. Even if you go to conquer other planets, you cannot be happy. Prahlad Maharaj told him, oh my father, there is no enemy. Our enemy is only our uncontrolled mind. You did not control your mind. This lust, anger, all these things are there. And senses you did not conquer. Why? What is the use of conquering 3 worlds? You did not conquer and you are unhappy. And he was drinking alcohol because of that, because he was unhappy. And always saying this, my enemy, because that is false ego. This is mine, that is another's, or always fearing that someone will come and take from me. So one has to conquer his mind and senses. Then he can get the real wealth of pure intelligence. Then he can have peace and happiness. So that Kalyan Baba, he told him, you did not conquer your mind. So how you are great? Then, because he was realized in what he was saying, then this made some impact on Alexander the Great. Then he turned back. He did not go to attack India and try to conquer there. No. Because he understood there is no use. I may conquer India, I may conquer whole world, but what is the use? I will not be happy. So here, Dhananjaya means you conquer. Yes. Gurudev said there is a fight with Maya. He told me in 2006 in Bombay. When you are in the beginning stage, then Maya will attack and you will fight, but mostly you will lose. Means you will fall prey to that sense enjoyment. But once you become more spiritually strong, advanced, then Maya will still attack, but you will be able to win. So different stages of advancement. So this you get. A karma sannyasin who refrains from fruitive action by following the consecrated Nishkama Karma Yoga destroys his skepticism with the sharp sword of transcendental knowledge, and being well acquainted with the knowledge of the transcendental nature of his real self and me, the Godhead, is not at all bound by his action. Because in mind, all doubts are there. He is responsible for creating those doubts. But when one, by proper sadhana, he can rise above mind, then he can actually perceive his own mind. Mind also has a form and also is like a person. So at that time, mind will come in the form of your servant. Now he's your master if you are not in control of him and you are not able to see him. But by the grace of Krishna, if you can cross beyond mind, then you can perceive him as different from you, and at that time he will be with folded hands as your servant. That is why later in Gita we will find Krishna is saying mind is one's greatest enemy or greatest friend. When uncontrolled, his enemy. When controlled, his friend. He will assist you in the service of Krishna with folded hands. And at that time you can see truth clearly. There is no doubt, like sun. When sun rises, there is no doubt. Like that, one will see above the mind pure reality. No distortion by the mind is there, and mind is below, subdued. And this one, he can see that all the doubts are created by mind only, but you are already above. So those doubts have no influence over you. Cannot have. They cannot sway you or remove you from that. They are powerless because you are directly perceiving the truth and you see that is useless what you are trying to give some doubts. That is useless and has no power. That is possible by the grace of Krishna. When one surrenders to him, here Krishna is telling to Arjuna, if you will do this Nishkama Karma Yoga properly, then by this transcendental knowledge, as a result of that, you can remove all doubts. And also, those your actions will not bind you. They are not binding because they are meant for the satisfaction of Krishna. They are transcendental. Tasmat agyana sambhutam hritistam agyanasi natmanaha chitvainam sankshayam jogam atishtatishta bharata. O Bharata, hence destroying this skepticism born of ignorance of your mind and rooted in your heart with the sword of transcendental knowledge, pursue Nishkama Karma Yoga and arise. Fight the battle out. Explanation. So, O Bharata, your doubt regarding the principle of Nishkama Karma Yoga is due to your ignorance born in your heart. Destroy that doubt of your mind with the sword of transcendental knowledge and pursue Nishkama Karma Yoga. Arise, therefore, O Bharata, and fight the battle out. This is the end of this chapter, and there is a gist given. This chapter deals with Jnana Yoga, in which the superiority of Jnana or transcendental knowledge to all other means to attain freedom and the principle of Nishkama Karma Yoga for the attainment of transcendental knowledge have been explained. Here ended the fourth discourse entitled Jnana Yoga. And then there are questions. How is the descent of the Blessed Lord possible when he is designated as unborn avatar? He is unborn. Then how he can be born? Krishna explained, Janma karma chame divyam. My birth is transcendental. It is lila, not this material forced by karma. So looks like birth. I'm unborn. I'm not born in that way. And this is my lila. Is the descent of the Blessed Lord subject to the deluding potency of the Lord? No. That is his potency. Does not have any influence over him. He comes by his own internal potency. What are the causes of the Lord's descent in every age? Rise of irreligion and decline of religion. And then he comes to protect the sadhus and to destroy the wicked and to re-establish religion, dharma. What is the end of one who regards the descents of the Blessed Lord as transcendental? If one realizes that Avatar is transcendental, he will not take any more birth. He is liberated soul by that realization. What is the real import of the shloka? And then Devanagari letters are given here, so I don't know which verse is this. Dharmam, etc. Chapter 4, 11, 12. Oh yes, I will see, because here also it is given. Yeah, that among. No, I cannot find. Yeah, eta among. Chapter 4, 11 and 12, maybe 12 verse. No, I will find here, 1 second. This Sanskrit. Devanagari. If it would be Bangla, then I could read, but Devanagari, some letters I can read. Not all. Oh, this one, verse 11. Je jatha mam prapadyante. Yes, this one. First letter I could understand. Je jatha mam prapadyante. What is the real import of this verse? How one worships Krishna, in that same way Krishna reciprocates. And we heard how different worshippers, according to their level of existence, they have different understanding of Krishna. Some as Bhagavan, some as impersonal, some as nature, some as sense objects, like this. But all are following him only. What is the difference between the worshipper of the Lord and that of the minor gods? They are for some worldly benefits, they are worshipping them. But one who worships Supreme Lord, he will get him. How did the system of four castes originate? Is the Lord the creator of four castes? Yes, he is the author. He said, I'm the author, I created, but I'm not directly concerned, because that is my affairs. I am doing my lila in transcendental realm, so I'm not directly concerned with this. I gave that system author, and that Maya is conducting. Who is called a Pandit? We read that verse. Here the answer is 19th verse. Here the answer is also given, question and answer. That I try not to look at the answer, try to remember. The wise call him a Pandit whose desire for fruitive action has been burnt by the fire of spiritual knowledge, and all whose actions are void of any hankering for enjoyment. He's a Pandit. Generally, we think Pandit is someone who is learned in scriptures, scholar, but the point is, he must have practical realization, as Gurudev said, practical life. Only theoretical knowledge is not enough. Practical life is necessary, and by that practical life, he has to come to this platform that his desire for fruitive action was burnt by fire. It is not there anymore, no any other desire. And his all actions are void of any hankering for enjoyment. So such one who is practically well established in such actions, such life, he is called Pandit, not only who can speak nice lectures, but whose practical life is like that. Is a performer of desireless action addicted to sin? No, he does not do any sin. And all sins are destroyed. If someone does proper action, then there is no chance of doing wrong action. How is perfect yagya or the realization of Brahma yagya attained? When one sees that everything is Brahman, everything included in yagya, that ghee and everything, he sees as Brahman means transcendental, then he can get that realization of Brahma yagya. That is transcendental yagya. Why is Jnana Yoga superior to Karma Yagya? Karma Yagya is related to, we heard, is related to those sacrifices here and gods and all these things. It is still related to this material, but the Jnana Yagya is internal, transcendental. They're chanting that Om and Tattvamasi, I am that. transcendental, supreme spirit. I am that. So they are doing internally, and that is on transcendental platform. What are the threefold means to acquire the transcendental knowledge? I don't remember now, 34 verse. One is Nishkama Karma Yoga, then maybe this Gyan, Yagya, and this 34. Oh, no, I was wrong. It is Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya. One has to submit to bona fide guru, should inquire honestly about the absolute truth. This desire he should have to know that, not about some worldly things, but to know that sincerely he wants to know, and obedient temperament to bona fide guru, one who is realized in that knowledge. By this means you can get it. He will impart that knowledge to you if someone approaches in this mood. What are the means of deliverance to cross over the ocean of sins and sorrows? 36. Even in case you become the worst of sinners, from external point of view, he's killing his relatives, you will cross over this ocean of sin and sorrow with the help of the boat of transcendental knowledge only. Who is entitled to acquire transcendental knowledge? He who possesses firm faith in me and steadfast attachment for the principle of Nishkama Karma Yoga and has subdued his senses attains transcendental knowledge. And the last question, what are the ultimate ends of the ignorant, the faithless, and the skeptic? Distraction, doom. 40. He is always torn by doubt and indecision and is therefore doomed to destruction. Such a skeptic attains neither happiness nor peace, either in this world or in the next, because skepticism is the canker or sanker, I don't know how to properly pronounce, of his heart, that ulcer, disease. He is eating into his very vitals, so one will be destroyed by not having faith in Nishkama Karma Yoga. Then next chapter 5, Sannyas Yoga, or the principle of renunciation of attachment for action and its fruits. Summary: he who has neither love nor hatred for the fruits of action and is steady and free from the opposites of the relative world is said to be a true karma sannyasin. He is easily released from all bonds of action. A Nishkama Karma Yogin, purified with the fire of transcendental knowledge, realizes that he is a spiritual entity quite independent of his body, mind, and senses, that it is his senses that perform the physical actions, that it is his perverted ego that is the author of those sensuous actions, and that this perverted egoism vanishes as soon as the transcendental knowledge dawns upon him. outwardly performing all actions, but inwardly renouncing the fruits thereof, a Nishkama Karma Yogin attains peace, remaining unconcerned with his own actions as well as those of others. Those who possess the faculty of Samadarshan, that is to say, to visualize the eternal existence of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna in every entity, sentient or non-sentient, are designated as Pandits in the true sense of the term. Samadarshan means equal vision, because they see everywhere Krishna is present and all are related to him. So he has that equal vision, not worldly dualities. This is my country, that is your country, you are stranger, you are relative, you are, no, that is all false. Reality is we are all coming from same Supreme Lord, all interrelated. So he is the true Pandit. The knower of Brahman enjoys eternal bliss in the realization of his own self and of Godhead. He feels a natural aversion to sensual pleasures, the root of all evils. He can understand it. Gurudev wrote in one letter, one who knows the consequence of this sensual pleasure, he will not willingly go there. But we are ignorant, conditioned souls, so we are thinking this is very good. This is, Gurudev said, the severity of disease. When someone thinks worldly enjoyments are good, that is the severity of his disease. But one who has higher taste, he feels natural aversion, not artificial. One may artificially renounce, but inside think. And when next opportunity will come, he will go for that. But if one gets higher taste, then naturally, without any difficulty, he can give up, because no need, already he has superior thing. So what is the use of that? The root of all evils. He maintains an attitude of nishkama in all his actions, no selfishness, whether they be for the purpose of keeping the body and soul together or for anything else. He can patiently withstand the forceful impulses born of lust and anger. Patiently, he can withstand, he can tolerate that, not become influenced by lust and anger. This worldly lust and anger. Sadhus, pure devotees, they also become angry, but that is not same anger. That is, they become more compassionate. They want to correct conditioned souls for their wrongdoings, so they express that anger, but for their benefit. It is not out of their own selfish purpose, some lust. And they can control that. They are not under the influence. He is a sincere aspirant after inner happiness, inner harmony, and inner enlightenment. Such person who can patiently withstand. He is really in touch with Brahman and attains Brahman Nirvana. That is to say, everlasting bliss. He who knows the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna to be the only enjoyer of the fruits of all sacrifices, the Lord of the universe and the only friend of all living beings, attains eternal peace and happiness. Our Gurudev many times quoted this verse, Aham hi sarve jnanam bhokta cha prabhur evacha, to show that Krishna is the only enjoyer, all are to be enjoyed by him. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj was fond of this verse the second line, Sarva Bhutanam Maheswaram Suhrit. Suhrit. His Suhrit means friend, one who is your well-wisher, friend, one who wishes good for you and does good for you, that is friend. So Sridhar Maharaj told, when we can realize that nothing can happen without the will of Supreme Lord. Without his sanction, nothing can happen. Means everything is happening with his will. When one can see this, and also he can understand that he is not vindictive or malicious or hateful. No, he's a friend. When one realizes this, it is for my own good. It is his mercy. One who sees this, he can get eternal peace and happiness. Like Gurudev told, when you see the grace of God in all circumstances, then you can have peace. Because he is a friend. He is not enemy. He is friend. But we are not realizing because we have some other ulterior desires, so we think he's enemy. First verse I will read. Arjuna Uvach. Sanyasam karmanam Krishna punarjogam chasam sham sasi yachriya etayor ekam tanme bruhi sunishchitam. Arjuna said, O Krishna, thou hast at one time praised karma sannyas, and at another time thou hast asked me to follow Nishkama Karma Yoga. Now tell me, please, plainly, which of these two paths is better for me? One is to follow Nishkama Karma Yoga. One is to give up all actions, karma sannyas. So what is better now? You spoke about both things, so what I should do? What is best for me? That we will hear tomorrow. What Krishna will teach. The point is, when one first follows Nishkama Karma Yoga, he gains eligibility for karma sannyas. Then he is dead. Like Raya Ramananda said, first one has to do karma, then karma arpan, offering of karma. When one then gains that transcendental knowledge, he can do karma tyak. He can give up all those activities because they are related to this false ego. Tomorrow we'll hear.